Every night, over 500,000 people sleep without a home. Some rest on sidewalks under makeshift shelters, others curl up in cars, under overpasses, or in overcrowded shelters. They're not all addicts. They're not all mentally ill. Many of them are working, full-time, and still, they can't afford a roof over their heads. Some are students, some are parents. Some are veterans who once served their country, only to be left behind by the very nation they defended. Homelessness in America is not just about being without a house. It's about being without safety, dignity, and basic human rights. It's about being invisible in a society that values productivity more than humanity. And while the numbers tell one part of the story, over 650,000 homeless individuals in 2024, they don't reflect the daily pain, struggle, and resilience of real people living in crisis. Walk through downtown Los Angeles or the edges of San Francisco, and you'll see tent cities stretching for blocks. In New York, you'll find people bundled in subway stations, on benches, or tucked in doorways trying to stay warm. The cold isn't just a chill in the air, it's deadly. Winters take lives. Summers scorch through what little shelter they have. And still, the world moves on. How did we get here? Decades of rising housing costs, stagnant wages, and a shrinking safety net have created a perfect storm. Rent prices have exploded in nearly every major city. A one-bedroom apartment in many areas can cost more than $2,000 a month, while millions still earn minimum wage, often less than $10 an hour in some states. That math doesn't add up. It never has. And now, people are paying the price with their homes, their health, their hope. Mental health care, once widely available, has been gutted over the years. Psychiatric hospitals were shut down. Community support programs underfunded. People with serious mental illnesses were pushed out, not into care, but into the streets. The same goes for addiction treatment. Instead of healing, we criminalize. Instead of helping, we judge. We treat symptoms with handcuffs, not compassion. And it's not just adults. Children are sleeping in cars. Teenagers are aging out of foster care with nowhere to go. LGBTQ+ youth, often rejected by their families, make up a heartbreaking portion of the homeless population. No child should ever have to choose between their identity and their safety. But in America, they do, every single day. There's also a deep racial injustice tied to this crisis. Black Americans make up just 13% of the population, but they represent nearly 40% of the homeless. Indigenous people, too, are disproportionately impacted. Generations of inequality, housing discrimination, and systemic racism have created cycles that many can't break out of, no matter how hard they try. And while the rest of us go about our routines, morning coffee, rush hour traffic, dinner with family, thousands are simply trying to survive the next hour. To stay dry. To stay safe. To not be forgotten. But this story isn't just about pain. It's also about strength. About people who rise every morning despite everything against them. About mothers who shield their children from the cold with nothing but a thin blanket and endless love. About veterans who carry their service medals in their pockets, hoping the world will remember who they were. About young people who study in shelters, dreaming of a life beyond the concrete. There are sparks of hope. Cities like Houston have seen success with a housing-first model, getting people into homes without making them prove they're worthy. Because the truth is, no one should have to earn the right to a roof. Organizations across the country are fighting every day, building tiny home communities, offering mobile showers, handing out meals, and giving people more than just resources. They're giving them dignity. Humanity. A reason to keep going. But it's not enough. Every time a shelter bed fills up, someone else is turned away. Every new affordable housing unit has a waiting list miles long. For every person helped, 2 more fall into homelessness. We're trying to plug a flood with a paper towel. The question is, why? Why, in a nation that can build billion-dollar stadiums, send rockets to Mars, and spend trillions on defense, Do we allow our people to sleep in gutters? The answer isn't complicated. It's not lack of money. It's lack of will. Lack of priority. Lack of care. For too long, we've looked at the homeless as a problem, not as people. We've allowed stereotypes to silence empathy. We've become numb. But it doesn't have to be this way. Change is possible. It starts with seeing. Really seeing. The man holding a sign on the corner? He had a job, a family, a house, until medical bills wiped him out. The woman in the parking lot? She fled an abusive home. The teenager outside the gas station? He just wants to go back to school. These aren't strangers. They're us, minus one bad break. One illness. One eviction. The line between housed and unhoused is thinner than we think. If we truly want to end homelessness, we must stop criminalizing poverty. We must invest in affordable housing, not someday, but now. We must treat mental illness and addiction with care, not punishment. We must recognize housing as a human right, not a privilege for the lucky. And we must look in the mirror and ask, what kind of country do we want to be? One that walks past its own people? Or one that reaches down, lifts them up, and says, you matter. You belong. You deserve a home. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. Not just shelter. But belonging. Dignity. Hope. The homeless crisis in America didn't appear overnight, and it won't vanish tomorrow. But with compassion, policy, and people power, it can end.